Yes, I have a question for Principal Bonitatibus. Yes, given the recent ruling by the Honorable Judge Hilton in the TJ admissions case, in which he determined that it was racial animus he mentioned both you in the ruling and the Fairfax School Board, that there was an intent to racially discriminate against Asian students. I'm asking a question. She doesn't have the vision. I'm asking you, are you going to change your opinion on the current admissions policy that's racist against Asians and apologize to the 30% of the Asian students?
At our PTA meeting?
She's out of order.
Do you have a question? What's your question?
What's the point?
Are you going to change your position on the racist TJ admissions policy as determined as a matter of law by a federal judge? And will you apologize to the 30% of Asian students who you don't want here solely because of the color of their skin?
To be clear, it is the FCPS school board who makes the decision about TJ admissions and FCPS leadership. I do not make, nor have I had any role in the decision making for TJ admissions. Not make, nor have I had any role in the decision making for TJ admissions.
I'd like to just center the board and the next slide, if we can, of what FCPS student population looks like. 37% white, a little bit over 19% Asian, almost 10% African American, and you can see, again, 2 or more races, and our Hispanic population being almost 27%. Mr. Smith.
TJ, and as Dr. Brabrand said earlier, the diversity at TJ doesn't currently reflect the diversity of Northern Virginia, and the talent at TJ does not reflect the talent in Fairfax County Public Schools.
We have letters from classes of graduates with hundreds of signatures saying that diversity needs to be addressed. People are hurting. We've heard from a student who I've spoken many times with now, who tried to bleach her skin because she didn't feel welcome as a Black student in this school. It's toxic for those students who feel left out. It's toxic for students who are doing the bullying. It's a diverse world. We are serving our kids better when we let them and help them engage with people who are different than them. It's a workforce criteria these days. So I'd also like to hear how TJ's principal was involved with the creation of this approach and what she thinks and how she sees this fitting into the overall efforts to make TJ even better than it is now. Thank you.
Ann?
Sure. Ms. Mann, would you mind restating your question for me to make sure that I accurately captured it?
Sure. I was wondering what your involvement has been in the process to develop the presentation we heard today, and also how how strongly you feel that this is the best step forward for your school.
Sure, thank you. I will say that one of the things that drew me to TJ 3 years ago and actually made me seek the position was the notion that school could be more representative of its region. I read an awful lot about TJ, and I was hopeful that perhaps I could be an influencer and a positive force and a unifier in the process. And so most recently, I would say within the past several months, as FCPS has been grappling with this issue, as has the state, with all of the directors of governor schools, I have been involved in certain conversations. I've been involved with the task force that Secretary Carey put together, and I appreciated being a part of that. Dr. Brabrand and Mr. Smith have also reached out to me periodically over the past several weeks and have included me in some of the conversations. Feedback, I would say that it's been a large representative group of everybody giving feedback. I would say that we are all united in believing that there is a statistically significant enough difference in the disparities that we're seeing, that action does need to be taken. It does need to be taken sooner than later. And I am fully supportive of FCPS efforts to advance the representative demographics. at our school. I often say that our students are more than a GPA to us, and we are their GPS. And I feel that we are moving definitely in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, that's pretty resounding support for continuing forward. And you have mentioned that the school is diverse, but at the same time, it seems, you know, it's not to the extent to which you or the division and the community think. So I think that's really important for colleagues to hear that you as the principal support this effort. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I am an employee of Fairfax County Public Schools, and I follow the goals, the vision, the mission, and the objectives. And I will continue to do that. Thank you.
The judge called you a racist.
Excuse me. I did not.
She
I
talked
did not,
over
I did
people.
not recognize
The judge
you.
called you a racist.
I did not recognize you, Mr. Davison. Would you like to stay? Please wait until you're recognized. I allowed you to. I
Point of
you-
information.
I did not recognize you.
Point of information.
I did not recognize
Point
you.
of information.
No, you're being disruptive to this meeting.
Point of information.
I'm no longer
Carey
recognizing you in this
Jackson is
meeting.
still recording.
Laura,
I move to remove Brian Davison from the meeting for repeatedly violating the rules of the meeting.
Second.
okay, I don't know if everyone can hear, but she moved to remove Brian Davison from the meeting for repeatedly violating the rules of the meeting, and there was a second. Would you like to speak to, wait a second. Laura, since you made the motion, would you like to speak? Here's the mic.
Mr. Davison, you've been warned multiple times, and the meeting is early. We can maybe do civilly, but you've been interrupting the meeting for insulting, for basically heckling. I think that's the word that I'm going to use.
That's not an accurate description at all.
Thank you.
You good for your
Okay, so is there any other discussion on Mr. Jackson?
Yes, you're talking about regarding that motion. You've used the term heckling. No one is actually heckling regarding this.
We don't record at our meetings.
I do. So that's the end of it. So get your hands off.
I'm not. Kate, please sit down. Kate, please sit down. Thank you. So just please proceed
So
with
we're
your-
talking about heckling. He raised a point of order. He did nothing out of order in accordance with the guidance of this assembly. And now you're trying to banish a parent who just had a point of view from the meeting. Are you sure you want to go through this? And are you doing so in a legal manner? Just pointing that out.
So the rule that you broke, Mr. Davison, just to make sure that you understand it, okay, before I call on you, is that you repeatedly spoke out without being recognized, which was clearly stated at the beginning of the meeting. I'm going to give you one opportunity to speak, and then we'll have let other people speak. Yes.
Yeah, so you're factually wrong on multiple things. That when you raise your hand, you have to get a point of information or a point of order. Those things take precedence over other things. It's not just calling on to speak about. Number one, this woman over here who's dancing all around and physically assaulting Harry Jackson made multiple comments, and you never said a word. We even pointed over here, and the notion that you're being fair or anywhere where unbiased is absurd when you just let this woman jump around and dance like a fool. And I simply made a comment about a federal judge who determined the principal of this school was racist. It wasn't that the policy discriminated against Asians. He said that there was racial animus, which means that that woman is a racist. And that's why the policy was overruled. And you're sitting here saying, I can't even make a point of order or point of information to ask you why you won't do your job with respect for this woman over here. The requirements to kick somebody, first of all, you can't kick me out of the school. That's not going to happen. Even kick me out of the meeting as a voting member are so high, where I didn't call out and speak up, and it wasn't multiple times. I simply asked for a point of information. Is there anybody else here who you won't recognize.
Mr. Davison, it is my decision that your repeated disruptions are an intentional act to try to disrupt the business of this meeting, and I will no longer be calling on you in this meeting. You are welcome to stay, and you may vote, but I will no longer be calling on you, and I will ask you to please just do not speak out and continue to disrupt our meeting. Please. We have a lot of business to get through. I am not going to entertain the motion to remove Mr. Davison from the meeting, and I'm asking you one more time to please let us move on with the agenda. So, is the teacher's report.